Hi guys, it's Chris at Cork and Crown. Not in the cider shed today, but in this barn, well outside this barn, you can see behind me, in Norfolk, in a place called Gayton Thorpe. And I'm here for 7 days, and I thought I'd try and get some cider while I was here, local cider. I had a bit of trouble in Devon finding stuff, but on the very first day here, I found some cider in a place called Downham Market. And there was a bar there. It said they sold cider. I went in, said, could I get some cider to take away? He said, yeah, but I need a bottle to fill because I didn't have any bottles. So I was like, I have a bottle in the car with water in it. And it was one of my Cork and Crown bottles. I was using it to keep hydrated. But as soon as I realised I needed it for cider instead, dumped the water out, gave it to the guy, and he put this stuff in it. Okay, so this is a medium cider made in Downham Market, right close to where, literally a stone's throw from where I bought it. Don't know very much about it at all. It's a medium. It is, I believe, it's culinary apples. I believe. I'm not sure it's wild yeast. I think it's slow maturation. So that they harvest, press, then let it ferment slowly through the winter. It was called Tickler, which isn't a name. Tickler. It's not. I don't really like the name very much. It reminds me of crappy real ale names or crap cheddar. There's a crap cheddar called Tickler, and I'm also a cheesemonger, and there's a crap cheddar called Tickler. We got sent a sample of it once with like a pink feather in with it, and I'm just like, anyway, I wasn't very pleased. It pissed me off. All right. Anyway, calm down. Let's have some of this cider. Okay, let's try it out. So you can see actually from the off, it's quite light in colour compared to the West Country ciders that I normally have. Much lighter in colour. I expect it to be lower in tannins because I think it's going to be mainly culinary apples. I don't know if it's wild yeast. I'm going to assume it's wild yeast. Well, let's assume it's wild yeast. What else can we say about it? It looks more like a perry almost, doesn't it, with the colour? It's that pale colour. So I'm trying to get my head around East Coast cider. So East Coast ciders are based on culinary and dessert apples, because they grew apples for London and places like that in this part of the country. So they had surplus apples that were culinary and dessert apples. People weren't eating cider apples, and that's what they made the cider out of. So the tradition in the East Coast is to use culinary and dessert apples to make cider. Whereas in the West Country, it's perry pears and cider apples. It's got more tannin, more acidity, more sugar as well, actually, but you can't tell because they're so tannic and acid when you eat them that they don't taste like they've got any sugar whatsoever. Anyway, let's pour a bit of this out. Oh, my thingamajig's come off in there. There it is. Right then. Oh, by the way, I don't know if any of you saw my Devon tastings, but there wasn't a decent glass in the building. So I had to drink it out of a little glass milk jug that I'd found that sort of tapered towards the nose. Luckily, this place, it's got these nice tapered glasses, which are massive, by the way. I keep pouring myself there, and it's about 500ml. Right, let's give it a swell. So yeah, hazy, still. It's hazy, yeah, unfiltered, still, as we've said. And let's give it a smell. So there is acidity on the nose. Obvious acidity on the nose. And almost like a little pineapple-y kind of thing going on as well, I want to say. There's a little hint of sweet and sour sauce from the Chinese takeaway, which I don't mind at all. Reminds me of Chinese takeaways of my youth and adulthood, actually. Don't really get much sweet and sour sauce anymore. It's a while since I've had it, but that's kind of... So they've got a hint of that about it. But yeah, a bit pineapple-y as well, maybe. And something else. Something else I can't quite pick out. And I know what it is. Oh, let's leave it. Let's try it. Alright, here we go. Okay, yeah. So, minimal tannins. It is quite apple-y. It's medium, but it's not overly sweet actually. It's a decent medium. This. Some nice acidity, lemony acidity, slightly sherbety acidity. I want to say as well, which is nice. It tastes all right. It lacks the tannin though that you get with cider apples, and I missed that a little bit. I think this had a bit of astringency on the teeth and a bit of leatheriness on the back palate to balance the sweetness. It would be a better cider. Having said that, it's pretty good. It doesn't taste like a commercial cider at all. It doesn't taste like a commercial cider. I wonder if they're using wild yeast or cultured yeast. Not sure. But that acidity's nice. That acidity sends me a message, and this is a slow matured cider. It's gone through malolactic fermentation as well. I think it's got that malic green acidity they've got. It is like a lactic acid acidity. There is a little the sweetness here though is a little. I assume it's back sweetened. And I assume it's back sweetened with. Well, they could have used sugar and pasteurised it or wrapped it off a lot to get rid of the yeast, or they could have used sucralose, which is like a sugar substitute, which you use very small amounts of to sweeten it basically, but it's non-fermentable, so if you sweeten with that, it doesn't get fermented out. I feel like the back sweetened with sucralose and it's a bit too much. It tastes a little bit baked, just a little bit, just a hint. But having said that, that acidity marks it out as like a small batch, small production cider. It's not industrial in any way. This. Not bad. I think there was a dry version. This is the medium. I wish I'd got the dry now. I wish I'd got the dry because I think it would have been a purer experience, and I think I would have got more to the nub of the cider without that sweetness sort of slightly getting in the way and befuddling things. Having said that, not bad. 6%. I think he said it was. It was 6%. Yeah. So not too strong, but reasonably strong. Yeah. Not a bad start. I got 4 more ciders today as well, from an actual little cidery in a little village on the coast called Wells next to the sea, and I am going to be trying them over the next few days. There's one which is a Norfolk cider, so I'm going to assume. I think they use culinary apples. I think they've mixed some cider apples in with it, but there are culinary apples. But then the other 3 are actually West Country cider apples. I've got a Browns, which I think is Herefordshire. I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure if it's Herefordshire or not. I've got a Dabonet, and I got a Major. Now the other Major that I've had, which is a single variety, is the Major from Ross and Wye, and I really like that single variety. It's the dry cider that got me into dry cider, and it's leathery and characterful and quite something. So it's going to be really interesting to taste the Norfolk cider, which has some of those blended in with it, and then try those single varietals. One of the interesting things it said on the back was that it was the fertility of the land where it grew, and so forth, which actually you don't necessarily want with cider apples. You don't want to be you don't want too much nitrogen, in the ground, because that just gives for several reasons. One of the reasons is that it gives too much nutrients to the yeast, which then they ferment too fast. That's one thing. So actually, having very rich soil you want the right sort of soil. You don't want it to be nitrogen rich. So let's see about that. I mean, it sounds good saying fertile soil, but it doesn't always. Like grapes, same thing. Grapes, wine grapes. You don't want to have the one very rich soil. You want the roots to dig down and look for things, and it's that, and then they're digging through the geology, and that geology is what gives character to the wine. So you don't necessarily want very rich soil when you're growing things for cider making or wine making. Blah blah blah. All right, I'm gonna go swim in the pool over there. We've got a heated swimming pool. I'm gonna go swim in it. It's always good to drink cider prior to swimming. I find it isn't. Don't do that. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back soon, and until then, cheers.